Hello folks, and welcome to Testimony Tuesday. And today, delighted to introduce Kathleen McGregor, who is going to share something of her story, and particularly one tremendous Easter when she came to know the Lord. So trust you'll enjoy what Kathleen has to share. Sure you will. Be blessed.
Yeah, hi. So where was I brought up? I was born and brought up in Decament, which is just over the hill from Livingston. So very local. I've always stayed in the area. Pretty unremarkable childhood. We were surrounded by countryside, so there was plenty fields round about and plenty trees to climb, streams to paddle in. So yeah, it was pretty carefree, what I can remember. So who influenced me the most when I was a child? I think that would have to be my mum, really. We were very close. I would never let her out my sight when I was a small child. I used to follow her around seemingly everywhere. If we were out visiting anybody and she got up to move from one room to another, I would actually get her handbag and carry that through to where she was. I don't know if I thought she was going to leave without it, I don't know. But yeah, my mum had 5 of us to bring up. I was the second oldest. I've got an older brother and 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. So she was a busy mum. And at that time, you know, nobody had anything really very much. So she made a lot out of nothing really, food-wise. And she was always knitting. She used to knit all our clothes, all our jumpers and cardigans. So she never really stopped. And I know that her and my dad were members of a church in Uphall for a number of years. I remember the little brown envelope that my mum used to put money in, you know, for the offering. But yeah, I think my mum was a strong woman. She really was. I think it took its toll on her because she became fairly unwell in her late 40s. She was really bothered by rheumatoid arthritis, and you know, I used to, when I was older, I used to you know, more or less make sure she was okay, that I looked after her, but she was in an awful lot of pain, and she, as I said, she was very strong about it. How did I become a Christian? Yeah, well, I can remember going to Sunday school as a child, you know, and listening to all the stories, which I thought were just stories, and it wasn't until I was older and became a Christian I realised it was actually history. These stories were true, these stories were real that I had been hearing. But anyway, I was married and had a family of my own. I was in my 40s before I became a Christian, and what had happened at that time, I had struggled most of my life with depression. Nothing really to be depressed about. My mum used to say, you've got a wonderful husband and a lovely family. But anyway, that's something that, you know, was happening to me. And I used to be worried about my mum and her illness, her rheumatoid arthritis. And I mean, she had 2 new hip joints, which nearly, after about 15 years, nearly ended her, because she ended up with osteomyelitis, which was, her bones were rotten, basically, and she was in a great deal of pain. And it was horrible to see her suffering, it really was. It was terrible. And also, round about that time, my sister had become unwell, and I was worried about her. And at the time, my mum had actually went into hospital. She had septicemia. She was very unwell. She had had a stroke. We were actually all sent for it at the time. And it was a very upsetting time for everybody. She had actually fell while she was in hospital, and she broke her femur. And when they went in to fix it, they discovered that all her bones were absolutely mush. And she ended up having a steel rod put in her leg, and both her hip joints removed. And I can remember the consultant telling us at the time that she wouldn't be able to walk. She wouldn't be able to walk again. My mum was a very determined woman, and after her operations, while she was in hospital, through all this, I would cry myself to sleep at night, because I was just so heartened for her. And I remember, everybody would ask me how my mum was, and everybody would ask me how my sister was, how was things going. But nobody that I can remember ever asked how I was. And I was absolutely broken. I was still trying to work at the time. I only worked part-time, and I actually worked up at the hospital. And when I finished my work in the afternoon, I used to go along and sit in my mum's room with her all afternoon, just keeping her company and everything. And it really was horrible to see her suffering. So she had been in a hospital about 4 months, and it was Easter 1999, 22 years ago, that my sister had invited me to church for Easter Sunday. And I can remember I went along, and it was to the Oasis Christian Centre in Livingston. And I can remember feeling such a peace. And when the minister was talking, I could feel this excitement rising. And when he asked if there was anyone that wanted to know Jesus. Now, this is the Jesus that I had thought was just stories that I'd heard at Sunday school, but this Jesus was real. And I had actually, on the Friday, Good Friday, had actually asked God if he was real, please, please forgive me. I just want to, I need help. And on that Sunday morning, he was there for me. And I just felt this enormous feeling of love. That God loved me. He loved me so much. And I just felt so different. And to realise that he loved me so much that he had sent his son to die on the cross, and he would take all the punishment that I deserved. He didn't, but I did. And after that, I just felt so loved and at peace, and I just felt so encouraged. I knew that I was changed, and I felt so different. Easter Sunday, that was when my life changed, and it was because I knew and felt this love, that it was real, and I felt stronger. So yeah, I did know that I had changed. Other people noticed that I had changed. I was calmer. I was just full of joy. Even though my mum was in hospital, I knew then that I could take my troubles and everything. Even though I had become a Christian, I had given my heart to the Lord. You know, you still got problems, you've still got ups and downs and what have you. But I knew that someone was there to take that burden. It had all been paid for. Definitely. And I know that I was less crabby because I used to be very, very crabby. And I think that was just due to pressure, stress. But I was more calm now. Yeah. What does Jesus mean to me now? Well, he's my everything. He's my rock, he's my saviour, he's my healer, he's my guide, he's my comforter, my friend, my peace, my salvation, my strength. He's my joy. Yeah. What key verse is meaningful to me? Well, there's lots of them, isn't there? But the very first one that that I remembered when I became a Christian was Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And he does strengthen me. He strengthened me since then. And I really trust in him. If I was to challenge anyone about following Jesus, what would I say to them? Well, first of all, trust in him. He knows you by name, and he loves you. He'll fight for you. He thinks about you. He has plans for you. He loves you. He's your refuge and strength, and he's always with you. So trust in him.